order to celebrate Chaperone's The Giver, I may have given a little bit too much. Welcome back to another episode of Last Week in Comics, where I tell you all about what happened the last week in comics. I'm trying to think of, the comic book Twitter discourse that happened this week, but I guess the only thing I can say, if you willingly supported Captain America 4, you no longer have the right to complain that Sabra's in it. You paid for that shit. Easiest fucking thing was to not watch it. Why the fuck? Alright, so first up on my list of things I actually read this week, Absolute Superman. In this issue, we got to finally see the destruction of Krypton, and I have a lot of questions now. So, the entire thing is, paralleling, Jor-El and Lara trying to save everyone they possibly can from the destruction of Krypton, versus Clark going on a rampage to try and kill Christopher Smith, after he slaughtered a bunch of people, after, Clark, emasculated him. That's all Clark did. What the fuck? Everything in this book is, gorgeous. I think that, by far, Absolute Superman, well, no, because Absolute Wonder Woman exists. Absolute Superman is the second best looking Absolute book, but to be fair, I don't think you can get much better than Absolute Wonder Woman. Just how the art style, pairs so well with the Greek mythology behind Diana. This week isn't about Absolute Wonder Woman, although everything should be about Wonder Woman. Give Wonder Woman an animated series, DC.
I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you. Eat it.
Essentially, during this, we see that, the initial ship that Lara built gets fucking destroyed, but then, a bunch of escape pods created by Soul, Superman's kind of suit, living, breathing suit that he's been using, we see it create these escape pods. However, tragically at the end, the planet explodes, and then suddenly Clark is, thrust off by himself. Now, here's the thing. Maybe there has not been enough discussion online for this, but I'm starting the discussion here. I don't think that Clark is the last Kryptonian. I think he believes that he's the last Kryptonian, but I don't think he's actually the last Kryptonian, because here's the thing. We did not see the rest of the ships blow up. We only saw Clark get thrusted forward because of the explosion. And probably because he was the furthest one up. Now, does that mean I believe that there's a lot of Kryptonians still alive? No. However, I do think that some major players are still going to be in the series. Like Zod, like Kara, in the future, and have it be totally believable. Especially because we see before, the big explosion, Clark reassuring this, young girl who's blonde. And I'm not saying it's Kara, because technically Kara should be older. However, I'm suspicious of any blonde in fucking Absolute Superman. I swear to fucking God, we better be getting Kara in this. I want an Absolute Kara, and, they could probably just take, one of the many evil Kara storylines and, use it. But, I just want Kara back. I want Kara. Where is she? I know we're getting the solo by Sophie Campbell, but I need more. Which also pre-order Supergirl by Sophie Campbell, right now. It's gonna be amazing. I love it. But, I think that they left this, ambiguousness surrounding Krypton's destruction and how many people survived for a reason. I think more people should pay attention to how Krypton got destroyed. But the nice thing about at the end of this issue is that Clark is essentially on his way back home to Kansas. Essentially to find himself and stop himself from just fucking killing Peacemaker. Which, he should do. But, the entire thesis of the Absolute Universe is that despite all of these things changing, the characters still remain at their core the same. Which is kind of retroactively kind of the same thing that happens with adaptations, especially with the big three. The Trinity. Except for Wonder Woman, but that's because no one No one can get it right for some reason. I don't know why. DC, hire a fucking woman for Wonder Woman and maybe it won't suck. Hire a woman who's not a Zionist. I should clarify. A lot of people were pointing out the sign for Smallville, Kansas, that it says Ad Astra per Aspera.
Ad Astra per Aspera.
Which translates to the stars through difficulties, which I think is just a perfect summation of this Clark and just the world of Absolute Superman. I like that little touch. I think it's really amazing that they're thinking this much into it. Honestly, Absolute Superman is my second favorite Absolute title. Only being compared to Absolute Wonder Woman, but to be fair, I don't think a book is going to top Absolute Wonder Woman for me. Like, I seriously, there's no fucking way. And it could also be because I am a fan of Kelly Thompson. More specifically, I am a fan of Kelly Thompson taking a female hero that has been dragged through the mud repeatedly and then finally giving her a good book after a while. The picture of Carol Danvers that's probably being pulled up right now is not related to that. And with them kind of teasing that Wonder Woman is going to meet the other heroes, possibly herself being the start of the Justice League in the Absolute Universe, I think it's going to be very interesting to specifically see this Diana and this Clark interact. I cannot wait for it. These are by far my favorite two Absolute titles. Personally, for me, I think Absolute Martian Manhunter is mostly going to be carried by the art for me, but I'm still going to enjoy it, and I don't give enough of, I don't like Midwestern conservative Wally West. I don't care if you make him look like a butch, that's still a man. Why isn't he a butch, actually? Oh, and then Absolute Green Lantern. My only take about that is I've seen too much Hal Jordan in the previews, and I don't want that. Let's talk about Black Lightning number 5. So this is the conclusion to this mini-series, and I am sad. Like, 5 issues isn't enough time to show that you are doing well in sales, especially if you're going to be extended into an ongoing, and it kind of feels like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one, because by far Black Lightning has probably been one of my favorite series that DC's currently releasing right now, and like, my entire, like, I'm gonna do more, because I think that you should just read the finale for yourself. I think you should read this book in its entirety for yourself. But more importantly, with the finale, because a lot of things are being revealed that's going to lead into the new Power Company book, Power Company Recharged. So, you know, I think that you should be well prepared for that. But my hot take about the series is that it has so many interesting concepts that I wish that they would have had more time to build on. Like, you had this entire plot with the congressman who is anti-meta and running on an anti-meta campaign, and I feel like that could have been a very important plot that's happening in the background. And then you have Anissa's whole deal and her trying to, like, struggle with her dad, letting her down again on the worst day of her life, and, like, all these, like, emotions are coming up because she is giving, like, you know, college student in everything about this book. And then I want to see what Jennifer Pierce's deal is. Like, how is she helping more young heroes, like, discover their powers? What is she up to? Because it really does feel like you just kind of shorthanded Jennifer the entire series. Like, I get it. You had limited page number, and you had a limited page count, and you wanted to focus more on Anissa, but, like, come on, man. Still, overall, I like the series. I just wish that there was more.
We need to make more of these.
It's completely baffling to me that despite having a CW show that lasted probably longer than most of them, how long did Black Lightning last? 4 fucking seasons? Like, Black Lightning got a show with the CW that lasted 4 fucking seasons, was critically well received across the board, and yet they won't, like, greenlit a full ongoing for him. It's fucking crazy to me, especially because that show in particular has such a strong fan base that marketing a comic to them would be actually very profitable, unlike marketing a comic to Justice League Unlimited fans. Justice League Unlimited, the animated series. I need to clarify now because, of course, DC made it complicated. I don't know, like, you have all of these fans of this show, and yet you don't, and, like, this book would appeal to them if you just let it be more of, like, a drama, like a family drama show. But you limited it to 5 issues. Like, at least give it fucking 12. Like, 12 should be the minimum you're greenlighting for any series that doesn't have a subtitle. Like, the question all along the Watchtower, I can understand why you kept that at, like, 6. Okay? But this series is titled Black Lightning. You can have it go on for at least 12. I hope that the Power Company goes on for as long as I want it to, which is forever. This is kind of disappointing. I want to see these characters more. DC, I will literally throw money at you if you just make these characters last in books longer. Like, are you allergic to making profit? I don't understand it. Go read Power Company, go read the DC Power Special, Rise of the Power Company. Go read Black Lightning. And when it comes out, go read Power Company Recharge. I need these characters in more books, DC. I will literally throw money at you if you greenlit a fucking Signal and Jace Fox, like, fucking duo book, okay? Greenlit Batman and the Signal, and I will throw as much money as I can at you. Speaking of poor attempts to market to non-comic readers, let's look at Green Lantern Corps #2. To be honest, I am only reading this book for the occasional chance that Simon Baz, Guy Gardner, or Jessica Cruz will be mentioned. And despite Guy Gardner being on the cover, he's not fucking in this. Like, this book is called Green Lantern Corps. It's called Green Lantern Corps. Why is there only one fucking lantern in it? It was just Jon Stewart. What the fuck is going on? And like they keep on being like, oh, look, we're teasing Hawk Woman and Jon Stewart, just like JLU. You JLU animated fans should come and read this. You should come and read this book. And like, the show's from 2003. If these people haven't started reading comics, they're not gonna start because of this fucking ship. Honestly, I hate how much DC markets this ship. It's awful for both characters. I think it devalues both of them immensely. It especially does a lot of damage to Shiera, because, reminder, Shiera with a Y is different than Shiera with an I, and also Kendra Saunders, which is my personal favorite Hawk Girl. And also, Shiera with a Y never went by Hawk Girl, so what the fuck are you on, Adams? Because, like, it's crazy, because, like, you know, we haven't seen Shiera in books in a while. Like, probably years, if I'm being honest. We've seen Shiera with an I in the recent Valentine's Day special, but we have not seen Shiera with a Y anywhere until this book. And it's another half-gilded attempt to get JLU animated fans to fucking read comics, and they never will. You know they never will. They're fucking Wonder Bat shippers, and I fucking hate Wonder Bat shippers. The entire issue is, like, about, like, oh, we're gonna help the Thangarians protect this giant egg. The fuck? Does Adams think that Thangarians are, like, bird people? Does he think that they're bird people? They're not bird people. What the fuck is there an egg? I don't... My Hawk mutuals are... My Hawktuals... My Hawktuals are suffering the most from this run.
You gotta stop calling them that.
I'm never gonna stop calling them my Hawktuals. So, with that, I have to follow in their footsteps and recommend you read Hawk World. It's been on my reading list for a while. It is a Shiera with a Y story. I want to call it RoboCop, but that's not what it is. But it kind of is. If you like books like The Question, if you like more like the dramatic mystery series, I definitely think you should read Hawk World. especially if you want to understand the difference between Shayera with a Y, Shayera with an I, and Kendra. Also, if you want to see more Kendra, because I think everyone should see more Kendra, read JSA. Read JSA 1999. That is the first series she appeared in. I do believe she's still in the current JSA books that are coming out right now. There's a wonderful mini by Jazdia Axelrod that includes her and kind of helps explain the whole Hawk mess. Hawk Tua.
You gotta give him that Hawk Tua and spit on that thing.
Cut that, please. Green Lantern Corps. There is so little Simon, Guy, and Jess in anything that I'm probably going to keep on keeping up with the series. I hope that it's just for, like, the first, like, 3 issues and, like, a mini arc instead of, like, half the fucking book. Anyway, going now into the books I didn't read because, again, I'm not Daystar. I cannot read everything. I have a 9 to 5. First up, Aquaman number 3. This book was coming out. I have heard little about the book, but I have been hearing that it's at least appeasing the Aquaman fans, which is more than you can say about most DC books. So, kudos to you, Aquaman. Low bar to clear, but still, most books can't. Do I think that this is a good place to start with Aquaman? Probably, yeah. Because, in my opinion, anywhere in comics that sounds interesting is a good place to start. But it's Aquaman. You know his deal. A little fish man. Fishy fish. At least he gets to keep Mera. Fuck the Aquaman movies for how they treated Amber Heard. Fuck that. So, the latest issue of Action Comics 1084, is wrapping up the previous arc that's been happening in the last couple issues. Action Comics is one of those books that I think comes out too much. After this issue, the next story is going to take place, Action in the Arctic, which I would recommend. With these books, like Detective and Action, you just kind of gotta jump in when an arc ends. Maybe I will. I don't know, Summer of Superman's coming up, and, like, honestly, outside of Absolute and obviously Supergirl, because I love Supergirl, I have not been inclined to read any more Superman. I mean, I guess I'm reading John and Secret Six, too. Maybe I'm reading more Superman than I thought. It's definitely more Superman than Batman, though. Okay, so next up on my list is Batman Dark Patterns, issue 4. I kind of flipped through it a little bit. The art style is really interesting. It gives, like, I would say, like, an older Batman comics kind of style. It's a lot more... It looks like they have a limited color palette to work from. If that makes any sense. It looks like those older comics where, like, they only had, like, 60 colors or something, and they, like, everything just kind of, like, meshes together really well. It looks great. Quite frankly, I don't like Batman. So I'm probably not gonna read it, but I might stare at it more. And it's, like, a horror Batman comic, too. Maybe I just don't like mainline Batman. Alright, so, Batman and Robin issue 19, came out, and unfortunately for Talia Nation, they're being racist about Talia again, which sucks because this book has done such a good job of, I wouldn't say humanizing Damian, but definitely undoing a lot of the racist writing that he has gotten in the past. So to not see that same kind of grace extended to his mother is very disappointing. And what I'm talking about specifically is this panel in which Batman says, Bashar is manipulating Damian. I know it. Possibly on behalf of Talia or the League of Assassins. Why would Talia do that? Why would Talia do that if you're not fucking Grant Morrison? I hate that bald-headed magician. Yeah, most of the talk about this book this week has been surrounding specifically that one line about Talia, because to be fair, we haven't seen Talia in a while. Like, she is completely missing from comics, pretty much. And when she is, it's shit like this, or it's bringing back Nissa Al Ghul, which, weird choice, but okay. It's kind of saddening. It's saddening, especially because one of my favorite Damian books, Robin 2021, does such a good job at, like, making the Al Ghuls less racist caricatures. Fuck you, Grant Morrison, and your bald-ass head. It's not looking good for us Talia fans, especially with adaptations. You need to put a scary picture of James Gunn and, like, lightning effects stack. And then the last book is another reminder. Do not buy anything by Otto Schmidt. DC vs. Vampires World War V came out again this month. I don't know why this book hasn't been canceled. I've never seen anyone actually willingly talk about it or buy it. Again, Otto Schmidt's still on the art. He is an actual Nazi that is being hired by DC. Do not buy his books. I'm glad that, like, unlike Tom King, like, people have not discussed his work in the slightest outside of him being a Nazi. So kudos to that, DC Nation. But for those of you who aren't chronically online, don't buy any books that have Otto Schmidt on them. He is a Nazi who renamed himself after another Nazi. Okay, now going on to the indies. One indie book that I have been following and keeping up with did come out this week. That's right, Star Trek Lower Decks issue 5 by Ryan North. So they are starting a new arc. Unfortunately, by the time I'm filming this, which is Thursday after New Comic Book Day, they have not released the Kindle version, and I have not been able to make it out to my local comic book shop, or any comic book shop, in order to read it. I'm gonna pull up Ryan North's tweet about it. According to Ryan North himself, because again, I work during the week, and my poll list is in Indiana still. It is the start of a brand new story featuring shenanigans and also time travel.
Those are my favorite things.
If you like shenanigans or time travel...
I love shenanigans and time travel.
Shut the fuck up, Booster Gold fan. So if you like shenanigans or time travel, or you're just a Lower Decks fan who's sad that the show ended, go check it out. I love this series. I have not been keeping up with it for TikTok reviews, unfortunately, but I have just been keeping up with it in general. It's been amazing. I also started watching Lower Decks because of the series. Why is it one of the best, like, animated comedy shows that we've had in, like, a while? I mean, like, Star Trek's never had, like, a bad show. I mean, I guess Voyager. It's shocking how much it hits it out of the park, despite the fact that a lot of people initially, like, wrote it off as, like, a Rick and Morty ripoff. It's not. It's so much better. Instead of being, like, a show where, like, it's essentially using the animation medium in order to tell more grand Star Trek stories that they couldn't under normal circumstances because they are limited to a live-action budget. There's a lot more aliens who appear on it, which I think is one of the best parts. You get to see more alien species, you get to see more of your favorites, like the Klingons. Not to mention that it's, like, the reason, like, my dad personally loves this show so much, and why I'm managing to get him into the comics, not literally into the comics, but Ryan North.
Don't say that publicly.
But, like, part of the reason why my dad got really into the show and why I'm able to get him into the comics is because it's truly a show made for Star Trek fans. It's a show that rewards people who have been keeping up with the series for this long, but also makes it really accessible for people who haven't, or have only seen part of it. Case in point, me. Despite the fact that my dad has tried to show me every single Star Trek series, I've only watched, TOS and the Kelvin timeline. Whoops! I tried watching Deep Space Nine. This is a hard watch. But to be fair, when my dad tried to show me TNG, I didn't like it either, so that's probably my hottest take of all. I'm not a fan of TNG. You know that thing where, like, your parents like something so much, and then they try and get you into it, and then you just end up not liking it? That's me in Star Trek The Next Generation. Which is why I like when Lower Decks makes fun of TNG. Go read Star Trek Lower Decks by Ryan North, published by IDW. Also, that came out this week, Star Trek issue 30, also by IDW. Man, it's a Star Trek week. It do be a Star Trek week. Now going on to more indie books, that I like I like shouting out because I think overall you should read more indies. If you have a favorite writer or artist from the big two, they are probably getting paid better for their indie work, so you should go support it. So starting off with Image Comics. I would be remiss if I did not mention this. Witchblade issue 9 came out. Daystar specifically has been reading Witchblade, and I cannot tell if Daystar likes it or is just baffled by it. But they have more Witchblade. There's a lot of fucking Witchblade. A series I keep on seeing that I really want to get into, and I probably will eventually, is Rogue Sun. It seems to be one of those kind of Radiant Black situations, Radiant Black Invincible, but with suns. And I don't know, the art, I looked at the cover for issue 25, which came out this week, and it looks very interesting. I always think about it every single day. Unfortunately, I do comic book reviews on YouTube, which means I have to keep up with the stuff that is trending, unfortunately. This might be a short one this week. Yeah. Not really anything else that's, popping out to me. Except, so by Dynamite, they are releasing more Green Hornet, which I feel like I've mentioned this before, but they're doing, a Miss Fury mini, which I love it when they bring back older comics. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. Which also, speaking of that, Mad Cave is doing a Flash Gordon series. However, fuck Spawn. I don't like you, Todd McFarlane. I don't like Todd McFarlane specifically. Okay, I accidentally just opened up another Image comic by accident, but this fucking, cover is, sending me, because why does this girl have a fucking fox arm? It's called The Moon is Following Us. What is this? This is insane. And if I was regularly visiting comic book shops again, which I haven't been, because my actual one is in Indiana, and I'm not in Indiana, but, this is crazy. I don't know what this is, but you should read it. Honestly, this is my hot take about indie publishers. Image is, I have a soft spot for IDW because they do publish a lot of Turtles content. I think that they're still the current owners of Power Rangers, obviously Star Trek, but, Image is, crazy when it comes to indie books, really solid indie titles. Go buy more Image books. Go support more local comic book shops, and go buy more indies. Especially Star Trek Lower Decks by Ryan North. There's time shenanigans. I know Ryan didn't say time shenanigans, but he did say shenanigans and time travel, so I can only assume time shenanigans are happening. I don't know why he didn't say time shenanigans. Maybe they're happening at separate points. I really gotta get to my local comic book shop. Why isn't it on Kindle? Alright, that's it for another episode of Last Week in Comics. So, up here, it should be next recommended for you. Maybe it's an episode of Ash and Their Fantastic Friends, my live show I do every Saturday, 9 p.m. EST, where we do things. I don't know what this week's episode's gonna be on. This is still Ramadan. We might just be going crazy, if I'm being honest. Maybe it's another Last Week in Comics. Maybe it's a YouTube short. I don't know what they put up there. Maybe it's one of my videos that I plan to make in the future, but I haven't actually made yet. I record these in advance. Down here, it should be the rest of the Last Week in Comics playlist. So if you want to find out what happened for the past, I think I'm on 15... No, I'm past that. If you want to know what happened the past 17 weeks, it's all there. It's all there. Go check that out. And then over here, subscribe, follow me, give me $5 in my Ko-fi. I have videos planned. I just work a 9 to 5, so it's hard for me to not dedicate time to filming them, but feel awake enough to film them. More importantly, I'm going to continue to do content based on comic book collecting and, comics, supporting local comic book shops. And also making sure that you're not getting scammed by anyone who thinks that their comics are more valuable than they are. Because I feel like with the amount of adaptations that are happening, Comic book prices are going to skyrocket, and then they're going to drop when the movie comes out and it's bad. I've seen it happen before. That's how I got my Fantastic Four number 45, aka the first appearance of the Inhumans, for $100. A first appearance like that, especially that old, should not be $100. So yeah, videos about comic book collecting, videos about how to read comics, more importantly, differences between single issues, trades, omnis, the weird in-between of omnis and trades where they collect like slightly more than a trade and it's hardcover and it's a little weird and I don't really like them as much, but I will be giving you my opinions on that, and also comic book grading. It's kind of a scam sometimes. It's a scam if you're comic book grading anything before like 1970. Maybe 1980 now. So yeah, like, subscribe, follow me. Follow me on other platforms. You know the deal. And cut.